self-sabotage. The behavior that keeps many, many people stuck in the same place, stuck in their current capacity, stuck in their current comfort zone, and not being able to make it to the next level or receive what it is they desire. I just made a video recently on the receiving block. If you have a receiving block, these two go very hand in hand, because if it is that you want to receive a healthy, loving relationship, you want to receive more money, you want to receive success, you want to receive all the good things in life, health, you name it. And we're going to want to break it down. So let's get into it. What do I want to start with? Okay. Why you self-sabotage? There are many reasons, but we're going to go through a few here today. The first one is capacity. What is capacity? We talk about this a lot if you watched others of my videos. It is the current comfort zone you're in, the current space that you currently hold, and what you believe you are deserving and worthy of right here, right now. So capacity is the box it is that you keep yourself in. So maybe that looks like making $50K per year. Maybe you work out 1 to 2 times a week. This is all made up. Maybe it is that you are single. Okay. This is your current capacity. This is your beliefs about yourself. And it is that you only work out 1 to 2 times a week. You're not all that healthy. You only make $50K a year. I say only. It really is relative. That's not a little amount of money. That's not a lot amount of money. Depends on the lifestyle you live. So this is somebody who wants to expand outside of their capacity is what we're talking about, right? So maybe it is that they desire to make 100K per year. They want to be consistent with their health, with habits and health. Maybe they want to be in a healthy, loving relationship. Okay. Relationship. And the whole reason they cannot reach those receives or those desires is because they're stuck in their current capacity. So that's what I mean when I say you're stuck in your current capacity and you cannot see a life outside of that. Your belief system is what creates that capacity. So really, capacity / belief system, because that's what creates that capacity, what you believe you can have and hold and receive. And what happens, this is that box, this is your current capacity, is that every time you have a new opportunity for a new career and to raise your income, it tries to make its way in and it bounces right off through a self-sabotaging tactic, through a behavior that sabotages the experience, right? Maybe it is that you have a potential partner or you go on a date with a decent person and it tries to make its way in, or at least a step towards that, and it bounces right back off because in your belief system, it is, I can't have and hold that, I can't maintain it for many reasons that we're going to break down later. And that's keeping you stuck in your current place. So stuck. The natural human experience is to evolve, just like the nature is constantly growing outside. The trees are growing, they're shedding, they're creating new leaves, the grass is growing, and nature already led the way in that. We are meant to grow and evolve. We are not meant to stay in the same place. The world is constantly changing and evolving. New tech is taking place. AI is growing. These are not bad things. It's just the world growing, and we are meant to grow with it. And if we don't, we're going to fall behind. And that's why our soul doesn't feel good when we stay stuck or when we stay stagnant, because we are meant to evolve. But this capacity keeps you stuck in your current comfort zone and your current beliefs about yourself because You haven't done the healing work, which we'll get to. That's the first step in my pattern breaking method. I love the first step because it's what sets you on track to change behaviors like self-sabotage. Can't change the behaviors unless you do the other underlying work and the underlying steps. Like I said, self-sabotage has many layers. It is like the third layer down. So anytime you try to let something into your life, you sabotage it in some way, shape, or form. Subconsciously, you don't even know you do it until like later, and you're like, why did I mess up that relationship? Why did I not go to the gym this morning when I knew I could have? Why did I eat that cookie when I said I wanted to give up sugar? Whatever else, right? So the first one is capacity. That's the first one we're going to get into deeper. The second one is fear of making a mistake. I really like this one because it's one I've been struggling with recently, especially because I recently got saved by Jesus Christ. That's why I talk a lot about God here. I've always been very much God-centered, but I got saved by Jesus, a whole nother experience. I talk about it in some of my other videos. And since that experience, I have just been so happy. Everything's been going so good that I just don't want to make a mistake. And that sometimes that happens. It's like, you're safe, you're good, everything's okay. Let's not make a mistake. But really what this is fear of failure. And it's fear of failing. But what God really wants from us is to take bold action. I was having this conversation with my friend last night because she struggles with the same thing. So it's no wonder why we're sitting next to each other. And when we want to take action, but we're just so scared of making the wrong decision, of making a mistake, of doing it wrong. And this probably comes from caregivers always telling you did it wrong, or maybe you were in sports and everybody's always telling you what to do differently and what you did wrong. Nobody's ever really like telling you what you did right and how to do it, or that you did a good job. And so if we have wounds like that, then we're going to struggle to take bold action and to take risks because we're constantly told what we were doing wrong. So we kind of identify with it. And it also hurt our emotions. It hurt our feelings. And that's always what we're trying to do, is to protect our emotions. So fear of making a mistake or fear of failure. God loves it when we take bold action, because why does he love that? Because when we take action, when we're sitting still in the house, like there's nothing he can do with us. There's nothing he can do. But when we take action, whether it's right or wrong, he can then redirect our action because we're out there and moving. So he's like, okay, go this way. Wait, go this way. Go this way. How does he do that? How does he do that? How does he speak to us? Emotions. I love the map of consciousness. On this side, we've got fear, anxiety, we've got grief, anger, shame, guilt. These are the lower vibrating emotions, the emotions that keep us stuck, the emotions that we don't necessarily like to feel. And then over here, we've got joy, peace, ease, courage, acceptance. And I'll bring up the map of consciousness too so you can see it. Joy, peace, eat, love. Okay, good emotions like that. How does he do that? When we are taking actions, when we get in touch with our emotions, we're better able to understand, okay, I can feel into this and I can feel where this doesn't feel right. There's a difference between like expanding. Okay, when we're going from here to here, there's going to be some anxiety, there's going to be some discomfort because growth requires discomfort. Growth is found in the discomfort. It really is true. Might be a little anxiety provoking. There might be a lot of fear there. But there's these emotions that you can really feel. I know the difference between when I'm taking a step towards something that's not good for me. Now, it's taken a lot of practice. I know the difference between taking some steps for something that's not good for me because it makes me feel like heavy. It makes me feel like this anxiety, this not good. It makes me tired. It makes me feel like low vibrational, right? And you've got to also understand this stuff gets tricky because you got to also understand that your energy system will try to self-sabotage you. Meaning, when you are trying to take that bold action, like you'll wake up tired and your energy system will try to sabotage you and it'll try to make you tired. It'll make you unmotivated. And that's why you wonder, you're like, I got 9 hours of sleep. I don't get it. I don't know why I'm so tired still. And that's because like you're like fighting against yourself here. We can't do it alone. We really have to like do this with God. And then God guides us. So you start to understand the difference between you start taking action. You're like, it doesn't feel good to me. Like it just doesn't feel good. And you're kind of living over here. Whereas I might still be a little scared because I'm human. And I might still be a little anxious when I'm taking this bold action. But there's this underlying emotion of peace. And I've really come to understand this as I practice discernment, my connection with God and taking my actions. And I can tell you, I invest in real estate. And the first property I bought at 25 years old, I remember I was so scared. I swore it wasn't a great decision. Swore up and down. I was like, this is going to go wrong. This is going to go bad. It is the best decision I've ever made in my life. That property has doubled in value. And now it has set my family, my future family up for great wealth. And I swore because I was so scared that it wasn't the right decision. But there was this underlying, like, keep going. Just do it. You've got it. And that's what you're looking for, that underlying courage that God is like, come on. Because there's this surface level emotions, but you really have to look for that deep down, those emotions that really tell you. And then ask for the signs. Ask for the signs in life. Is this a good idea, God? I don't know what it is, but whenever I'm dating a guy that's not good for me, something bad happens to my car. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but every time I'm like, okay, God spoke. He spoke because he always speaks through my vehicle whenever I ask for a sign around relationships. That's how he shows up. So that really helps when it comes to fear of making a mistake or fear of doing it wrong or fear of failure. You really have to trust in God in that you just have to take the first step and then you take another step and he's going to guide you. And even if you do make a mistake, you got to really think about it. Every time you made a mistake, did it bring you to some lesson that brought you further? Because dang, I made a lot of mistakes, but oh my gosh, if I didn't make those mistakes, I would not be here right now. So what you really want to ask yourself is, what emotions are you avoiding feeling? Yeah, we're just going to get into it because I can't stop the flow. I was going to break down this side later after I go through all these, but we're not going to do that because it's flowing. What emotions are you avoiding feeling? So, like I always say, like it's not the money you're after, it's not the relationship you're after, it's not the thing that you're after, it's the feeling of the peace and the love and the joy that you get and the security that you get from that experience. So in the same sense as on the other side, what emotions are you trying to avoid? Is it rejection so that you don't feel shame and grief? Is it hurt? Is it embarrassment? Is it because when you fail, what does it make you feel? So that's what you have to ask yourself is, what does failure make you feel? Okay? So if you can understand what does failure make you feel, you can understand what are the emotions that you're avoiding feeling, and you can start to make friends with those emotions, because I'm not saying live over there all of the time and never visit here. I'm saying learn how to feel these emotions and feel them and release them so then you can come back home over here. and then you can feel and access these. People like to stay in the middle here, okay, where they never feel this stuff, but then they never feel this. That was my problem for a really long time. Stayed right in the middle in neutrality. I was neutral. I was just, everything was just, it was good. It was cookie cutter. Everything's fine and perfect. But I never felt the depths of joy. I never felt the deep peace that I feel now. I never felt love deep into my heart. And I craved it because that's what we crave as humans. Because the more you feel those, the closer you get to God. And that's just how we are humanly designed. And also, in order to feel that though, gosh, did I need to feel the deep anger I had in my heart. I had to feel that shame that was bogging me down, and I had to let it go. I had to scream, I had to cry. All the tactics in all my videos that I always give you guys is like, you have to feel. You even have to feel the fear. You have to like let your body shake and be scared, and feel that emotion. Let it go. So then you can go and feel those. Because sometimes we just get stuck in the middle. Sometimes people get stuck here. Okay? And sometimes people fake it and get stuck here and think it's happy, happy, joy, joy all the time. We are meant to feel the entire spectrum of the emotions. The ones I brought up on the map of consciousness. We are meant to feel them all. And the more comfortable you get with emotions, the easier life's going to get. You're going to breeze through this fear of failure. That's what you're going to do. So really, when you're struggling with fear of failure, fear of making a mistake, or fear of doing it wrong, what does doing it wrong, or what does that bring up for you? What is the trauma that it brings up for you? What is the past feeling that it brings up for you? And we want to just sit with that. Meditate on it. Feel it through. So then you can stop avoiding it because you know how to handle it now. When you were a little kid, maybe you didn't know how to handle it. You didn't have anybody to support you in that. And so that becomes trauma. And so what we're trying to do is avoid ever feeling those feelings. That's why you're self-sabotaging. Okay? So let's go to fear of success. Another reason we self-sabotage. Okay? This one and the next one are going to bleed into each other. What's on the other side of success for you? You really ask yourself that right now. What's on the other side of success for you? Ooh, more money. Yay. Ooh, validation. Ooh, all these exciting things of like accomplishment and growth and helping clients and doing all of that stuff. Okay. That'll make sense. But that's probably not what you're avoiding through self-sabotaging your own success. Fear of success is extremely prominent. Fear of success. What is it that you're avoiding? Well, I'll give you some options. You really have to ask yourself this, but responsibility. More responsibility. What does that equal? Pressure. If you already feel a bunch of pressure on your day-to-day and you feel that constriction, you feel that anxiety, and it's already too much for you, what makes you think your brain's going to let you go and have more success? Really? Like, this inner game is wild. Like, when you really, really think about it, all these inner workings, like, you'll literally only unlock the next level when you start moving through this internal stuff that's going on. Literally, you have to see it as like an internal video game. That's how my mind sees it. It's probably why when I'm sitting with clients and I'm coaching clients, I'm like navigating their internal world and helping them move through it. And that's how I see it. I literally see it like a video game and unlocking the next level and unlocking the next level. And that's how I see it in my life too. It's so cool. So responsibility, stress. Okay. So if you already are stressed out and you already can't handle a lot in your life, it's probably because you haven't cleaned out some of those stagnant and stuck emotions. That causes very limited space internally, Whereas you see somebody being able to do a full day of work or full this or being able to take on X, Y, and Z, and you can't. It's because they've learned how to like release emotions, because that takes up a lot of space. So you can have room for all of the other stuff. If you got a lot of trauma and past stuff just kind of mashed in there, there's time and then there's space. I don't have enough time or I don't have enough space. When you don't have enough space, because there's a lot going on in there. And if you're already stressed with your current life, what makes you think you're going to allow yourself to take on more, to be more successful? Because really, being a higher version of yourself is being a higher, greater version of yourself. I'm not sitting here saying that you need to take on more, but with raised prices in your services or with a higher title or a higher position at work comes this higher vibration. There's more weight on it. And are you going to be able to handle that? It's the stuff that we can't see, right? It's the stuff that we can't see, but we know with a greater title, we're not going to feel the same as the title before. We know on the next level or the higher version of ourselves, we're not going to recognize the old version of ourselves. It requires energetic updates. It requires growth. It requires expansion. And it's not just expansion in the physical. This is not physical stuff at all. This is energetic. This is internal. This is emotional. And if emotions are energy in motion, it is all energy, as we all know. And that's what it comes down to. So what is on the other side? More responsibility, more stress. What are the fears if I am to become successful? People pleasing. If you're a people pleaser, gosh, I had to get through this one. I was answering every text, every message, chatting with everybody all the time rather than setting boundaries. And you're going to have to say no. You're going to have to set boundaries. How does that make you feel? Does that overwhelm you and make you want to do backflips? Then you might want to check in with that one, because you're going to stop yourself at all times to take the next level and be more successful if you've got these fears on the other side of success. So really ask yourself, and we go deeper in this inside the Money Expansion Club. There's a course, Money Mastery. We also go live every single month where I do Q&As and I do group coaching. It's a really great club, but there's a course in there called Money Mastery, which is the main theme of the entire club. And we talk about what's on the other side of success. We name the entire list and we work through every single one, and I give you worksheets and practices to move through all of that, because in total it is a self-worth journey. And so that's the next one, is the self-worth. They really all bleed into one another, because really capacity is like, in here is what you believe you're deserving and worthy of. But really, self-worth is like, what do I believe about myself? It is your internal sense of value. And what value do I have to offer the world? What value do I have inside of me? What value do I have in a relationship? And that's a big part of it. Is like, I even worked with a girl one time who she had this habit of binge eating. And the binge eating was keeping her in a place because she just didn't feel like worthy of being like healthy and attractive. She found that very intimidating, and it was a fight against her beliefs, her belief system. Your entire world is created off of your belief systems. And I have a video on that too, how your beliefs impact your behaviors. And that one's really good. And your belief system is going to constantly create your reality and constantly create your reality. And it is true. I did a fast recently, and this message came so clear. I spent the entire day with God. I did a fast, and I put my phone down and I locked myself in my room to really have that intimate time with God. And you know what he said to me? To not value yourself is to not value me. To not know your value is to not know my value. And that's what it comes down to. We keep trying to prove our worth. We keep running in circles, trying to find our worth in relationships and money and success and all of these things, when really we are created to connect with our Creator. We are created to connect with God. Jesus died on our sins so that we could be forgiven, that we could let go of all of the shame, all of the guilt, all of the pressure, all of the grief, and that we can be forgiven of any bad things that made us feel unworthy, any bad things we did, or any mistakes that we made that made us feel unworthy, so that we can let Him love us. But that's the thing. These aren't emotions to achieve. These are not meant to be achieved. They are meant to be allowed. And if you want to sit in a reality where you control everything all the time, let me know how that goes for you, because I've tried it. I've tried everything. I've tried spiritual practices. I've tried manifestation. I've tried it all. And even when I had everything that I wanted, every single time, and I did it a few times, had all the money, had the life, had the relationship, had everything I ever wanted, and it still didn't feel good because I never let God love me. God is peace, God is love, God is joy, and I never let myself connect with Him and feel that, because that's where those feelings truly come from, is allowing Him to love me, allowing Him to give me the gifts of life, allowing Him to bless my finances and to bless my love life or my friendships and to bless my health. And it is a constant work in progress, but at least I'm not doing it alone. And when you feel all this pressure, responsibility, stress, and you feel like you're not who you say you are, you're having that imposter syndrome, or you're feeling not worthy, then you really have to sit and ask yourself, what makes you less worthy than the person next to you, or the person next to you, or the person next to you? God created us all equal. It's only that you will not allow yourself to feel it. I am not worthy of good things. And that's what happens in our belief system. I am not worthy of good things. And really, that's not what I was supposed to put there. That was supposed to go on the other side. Really, I was supposed to probe the question, what do you believe about yourself? And I do want you to ask yourself, although I kind of gave you the answer, but it could be different. What do you believe about yourself? And I want you to answer that question right now. How do you feel about yourself? And do you believe you're worthy of love from God? Do you believe that you're worthy of money? Do you believe that you are worthy of a healthy, loving relationship with your body, with others, with friendships? And whatever it is that you're struggling with, I want to say it is rarely that we do not know how to get it. And if it is, it's such an easy fix. Go ahead and read a book. ChatGPT is awesome. Tells you everything. It's more likely that it is you don't allow yourself to have it. You don't allow yourself to have the good things in life. And when you start to heal internally, that's what we're going to get into right now. We're going to talk about healing. It's so important. So important. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're watching this video. I'm happy you're taking steps towards healing your body so you can make a better impact in the world, because I tell you, these emotions, these vibrations, they're contagious. That's why it's very important as to who you hang out with. I like keeping those up. Why do you self-sabotage? We know why. Let's go over the pattern breaking method really quick. No, that's not what I wanted to do. What love? What did I have there? Security. We love security. Okay. This is what happens. It starts with a limiting belief. I'm not worthy of good things. We'll do that one. Creates a fear in the mind. Okay. That fear is, let's say it's success. So I'm not worthy of good things has created this fear of success, which then plays out as a behavior. Self-sabotage. And then you get this outcome of always stuck in the same place. So you're stuck in that current capacity, stuck in your comfort zone. And when you stay stuck in the same place, and every time you try to get the next thing or try to get the next level, but somehow it gets sabotaged and somehow, and you can't really understand because you can't see yourself, what happens? You end up confirming your limiting belief over and over and over again. I am not worthy of good things, because every single thing that you do sends your brain a message as to how you think and feel about yourself. Every time you self-sabotage and you stay stuck in the same place, it continually confirms over and over, I'm not worthy of good things. And until you change this behavior, and that's why we're talking about self-sabotage today, because it is going to change your life. Until you change this behavior, you cannot change the outcome, because the behavior is what's going to get the outcome. But you cannot change the behavior if you do not shift the limiting belief, because your beliefs create your fear and then create your behavior. That's why we create what we believe creates the reality in which we're in. It's not this woo-woo thing. It's an actual thing. What we believe God can do in our lives. And if we believe that he cannot do good things in our lives, it'll create a fear, it'll create a behavior, and then it'll create an outcome. So this is not woo-woo stuff. This is real, logical stuff. And it is why we have to heal the limiting belief. So good. It's so good. It makes so much sense. Drop it in the comments if you think this makes a lot of sense and if this is helpful, because I just love this. It makes so much sense. Let's get into healing. We're going to talk about healing, and I know there's going to be some thoughts of like, how do I heal? I don't really get it. Listen, getting support, you got to break the pattern of trying to do everything by yourself. You do. You try to do everything yourself, and even if maybe you don't have the funds right now, that's okay. Get into some free groups. I offer free stuff almost monthly. And I know many of other coaches and supports and all of that do too. And I have low offer programs. I have high ticket programs, depending on the level to which you want to be able to expand or heal or whatever it might be. So get yourself some support and to move through this part of it. Because if you don't, you're going to constantly stay stuck, and not taking the hard action and avoiding the tough stuff is going to just keep you stuck and keep confirming that belief system, keep confirming like that pattern, and keep you stuck in that pattern. You really got to stop trying to do it alone, because it's not working, obviously. God put many people on this earth to help heal, to help support, to help grow. Utilize the world. God first, then utilize all the resources and tools he's put on this earth. Okay, to heal, what is the first step to healing? Okay, we talk about this quite a bit, and it is the origin. I did this with a client today. It was really hard. It was hard to watch because I've done it. I've been there. It's not that it was hard to watch. It's beautiful. But when we first go there, we've been working together one-on-one 24 weeks together. He's doing incredible. But he came in not being able to feel his emotions. And so he was kind of stuck in this numb place, in that middle ground there. He's kind of numb. He doesn't feel any joy, but he also doesn't feel any fear or anger or anything like that. And he wants to have kids one day. And he's like, I don't want to be here. And my wife is not very happy that we can't connect. And so I'm just living this like lukewarm life, which is just not what life's meant to be like. And what happened is, because we've been working together 24 weeks, like I know the block, but I have to sense when it's safe to start navigating the block. And we're at the point where it's safe to start going there. So we've done a few inner child healing practices where I push him a little further, push him a little further. But he's got this block where he puts so much pressure on himself, and his biggest fear is to disappoint others. His biggest fear. And he just does not want to disappoint others. And so he puts so much pressure in, and like his world is just so numb because he puts so much pressure on himself. That's it. And he's got these like wounds. And it is because, and he's afraid to make a mistake to disappoint others. And it's because of these moments from his childhood of always being told what he was doing wrong, and always being yelled at and ridiculed. And those, for any little kid, makes anybody feel really terrible. And so in order to avoid ever feeling those emotions again, he's been playing out this like, put this pressure and people please a bunch and put myself last and everybody else first. But in return, I'm numb and I'm not really present. So what we did today was we did a deeper inner child healing practice. It wasn't a meditation, it was a practice. And we went deeper into, okay, tell me some of the feelings it feels to, I said, what's your biggest fear? I dropped him into his body through the meditation. And I said, what's your biggest fear? He said, disappointment. Same thing that comes up every time. And then I said, okay, bring me back to a time where you felt like you disappointed others. And then it was broad, right? He talked about like, okay, when I was a child, when I was in middle school, when I was in high school. I said, okay, let's start to zoom in. And then he said, yeah, it's just a lot of the yelling and yelling at me and this and that. I said, okay, let's zoom in on like a moment. And he's like, okay, well, it used to happen in my career and in baseball. I said, okay, let's go to the baseball field. So we kept zooming in, which we didn't zoom in that close before. But again, he's done a lot of work, and I felt at this point he's ready to do it. And so when we got there to the origin story, we just had to pick one. There were many origin stories, which may be the same for yourself as well. We picked one and we went there. And what happened was he wasn't ready to cry. He hasn't cried in years. And we're really trying to get to the place where he can kind of release those emotions for himself. He'll cry for other people, but crying for his own pain, it's really deep in there. So we went there and he felt some emotions. There were some emotions, but it wasn't a full-blown like, release. And what happened was he said, I'm starting to feel those emotions I felt as a kid, like anxiety, panic. I said, okay, let's sit with it and let's look at it. Let's be with it. And let's talk to that emotion. We had a little conversation with that emotion. What is it trying to say? And he's like, overwhelming, and all the feelings he feels all the time anyway. But now we're getting to the very moment. And he's like, I feel these feelings as a kid. And he was getting a little overwhelmed. So we took it slow. But it was a time on the baseball field when he played baseball, and then his dad just yelled at him really badly. And he started to feel nauseous. He's like, I'm a little nauseous now. And that's what happens because the body has stored this up for so long. Like I remember when I first started breaking through this stuff, like I threw up as well. I vomited. And that's because I hadn't cried for forever and I wouldn't cry. So instead, my body threw up, which was its form of release. And my gosh, that was the first heavy load I took off my body. There were a few others to do, and always continuously. We're always living life. But you kind of get it, right? So he started getting nauseous, and I said, okay, like how much do you want to go? Do you want to take a break? And I just kind of sensed like let's not go any further. And I said, okay, like, and I gave him a few practices to do over the next, we're bi-weekly now. So the next few weeks on his own, he'll soften it up on his own. So next time we meet, we'll probably start to chip away a little deeper. It's not easy stuff. It's not easy stuff. I'm not sitting here telling you it's easy. It's really not. It's courageous. It's courageous action. And so you have to go to the origin story. I don't care which one it is, but you have to go to the origin story and then you have to feel it. And then you have to release it. So he was starting to feel it. But he wasn't quite ready to release it. I'd say a little bit leaked out. That's what I'd say. But I've been doing this for years now. I've been a coach since 2020, and I have a pretty good gauge as to when I can also like kind of feel it. That's one of my gifts. I can like feel him and what he's feeling, so I can usually gauge it through that. And so, anyway, origin story: feel it, release it, and releasing it looks anything like crying, shaking, screaming. Okay. And then the last thing is give it to God. It's got nowhere else to go. I've tried putting it in the closet, tried putting it here or there, and when you do that, it never goes away. But we really have to surrender to God and put him in the power and control that he wants us to put him in. I'll tell you, my life was not good. It would go good very small periods of time, and then I just like, you think that life, it's okay for it to be like these high highs and these low lows of like ups and downs and ups and downs. But the only reason that happens is when you don't put God first. Like, yeah, you're going to hit some moments that are tough. But when you put God first, I swear it's just this uptrend. I swear it just this, you just keep going up. And even when it's tough, you take a little dip, but it's just like you just keep going up. Whereas like when you don't put God first, like I remember in my life, like he just kept saying, put me first, put me first. And then I'd put him first, but then I'd have the thing that I want and then I'd forget about him. And then I'd drop it down again. I'm like, okay, I'm starting from ground zero again. And I do, and then I try again. And then I go up and down, and until I gave it to God, and until I realized like God is in total control, then I started hitting that upward trend. I'm like, oh, here we are. So this is what it looks like to heal. And when you give it to God, like I want you to actually sit in meditation and sit in prayer with him. And I want you to actually visualize yourself giving it over to him. Like put it in a box and hand it to him. And this might be hard. You might want to avoid it, but you have to do it. You have to do it. Okay. That's how you heal. I hope that story was helpful. I hope it helps. And if you need support in this, I do have a free discovery call in the link in my bio. We can hop on a call if you're interested in one-on-one coaching together, or if you're just interested in chatting about the offers that I've got going on, you're feeling like you need some support in this stuff, you've been self-sabotaging for a while, you've been keeping yourself stuck, then yeah, that might be a good idea. Okay. Let's talk about what happens when you let go. So right now, this is your little internal, this is your inner self. And here's what typically happens. Childhood trauma that didn't get resolved because you didn't feel it. All the emotions there that you didn't get to feel. And then some trauma that happened in your relationship recently, in your breakup, that you never felt and you never moved through. And then there's some continuous fights that you have with friends and relationships and family that you didn't really handle, and it is stuck in your emotions. And then there's all this work stress. All right, now we've got this little tiny space for new things. When you're full of all of this shame, guilt, grief, anger, anxiety, fear, you're full of it. But then you keep trying to incorporate love. You keep trying to have courage and faith and take action and joy and peace. But you wonder why you only feel it for a moment, but then you come back to all of this. I wonder why is because you're completely full with all these other emotions, all these old traumas, these old memories, these these stuck emotions, and then you have very little space to actually enjoy your life. Yeah. So what we've got to do when we heal, I actually just told my friends, like, no, I don't have the space for that. I can't do that right now. And I let them know how it made me feel when X, Y, and Z happened. Or I set my boundaries and that cleared up some more space. Okay, great. I sat down with a coach or somebody to help me release my childhood trauma and healed some of those old emotions that are stuck in my body. Wow, that's so good. Okay, I dealt with the work stress and I started implementing balance and I relieved myself of some of that pressure that I was holding on to. I gave it to God and I asked God for guidance and I got a coach and it helps me balance my life. And then I don't remember what this is, but I worked through it. And now I've got so much more space for love, joy, courage, peace, right? And all the rest of the stuff that we're always working through it, but it's not taking up the majority of the space in our insides. Okay? We only have so much time in a day, yeah, but like we've got a lot of time in a day. To be honest with you, I'd have a really hard time figuring out that you really actually don't have enough time in your life, or if you're just spinning yourself in circles because of what's going on inside you. Because that's what I see a lot of times when clients come to me, they're going in circles when they can really be going straight. I got clients who own $1 million businesses who got there in an amazing way, but they have no balance in their life because they're constantly spinning in circles when really it's straight shot to keep going. And it's wild. It's wild, the things I see. It's amazing. I love it. I love it so much, but it's so interesting. Us as humans, we're so interesting. And here's the thing. Because if we want to get here, what we do in this case is we make this emotional state our home. This is where we live. This is where we visit. Okay? So again, I will never push toxic positivity. I think that's terrible. That causes narcissism and sociopathism or whatever else, if you ask me. And that's not what we need going on here. What we need to do is learn how to feel all the emotions and how to visit fear, but live in faith. Okay? How to visit guilt, but live in acceptance. How to visit shame, but live in love. How to visit the anxiety, but live in peace. How to visit the fear and live in ease. How to visit the grief. How to visit the grief and live in joy. Okay? And you can get there. But what happens is you have to heal. You've got to do the healing work and you've got to do it with God. You've got to do it with God because He'll guide you every single step of the way. You have to let God into your life. You have to make Him the center of your life. Last part. Last piece. You're here. You, because God is inside of you. This is you and God, because God, Holy Spirit, is within you. Like I said, when you don't know your value, you don't know God's value. You don't know how much He can do for your life, and you don't know your own value and let yourself see it. You really don't. He is so unreal. It is unreal the things that God can do in your life when you let Him, when you see your own value and your worthiness of receiving God's gifts and God's love. I'll tell you, I'll never stop talking about it. Okay, we've got relationships. career, and wealth, health. And then I'm going to say your fun hobbies, maybe going into nature, all that fun stuff. And what happens is when we don't have God at the center of our life, we can get, because we are designed to attach to something. Well, because we are designed to attach to Creator, to God. When we don't have God at the center of our life, we attach here. We don't have God at the center of our life, we attach to our partners, our ex-partners, can't stop thinking about them, and it's no fun. And then we attach to our hobbies. I've seen some people play pickleball obsessively, which pickleball is so much fun, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, like, some people come like obsessed, and that's what causes obsession. That's what causes alcoholism, drug use, all the things. Because when we don't have God at the center of our life, we start to drift, and we are literally lost souls, because our soul belongs to God. And so when we don't have God at the center of our life, we start drifting around and trying to, and like literally looking for our parent, like looking to attach. Even attaching to your own parents. Like, once you're an adult and you understand this stuff, you realize, like, oh, those are just the parents that raised me. And then life is like, oh, whoa. When you get there, you live such a happier world in here. It's so nice. It's inside. I'm really just not in the business. Of course, I want you to be successful. I want you to have everything that you want in life. So does God. But I'll tell you, what I really want is for you to feel good. And the only way you're going to feel good is if you live a life with God at the center of your life. There's no other way. So I hope this was helpful. Again, if you need any resources, head down to the description. I've got the link in there for you. I've got resources there for you. I add new resources here and there. And I am just happy to help. I'm happy that you came to take in this knowledge and to learn more about your inner world, your inner self, and anything that you got from this video. Please drop it, leave it in the comments. I love to hear from you. I'll see you in the next one.